All right, guys, I'm James O'Neill. You're here with O'Neill Ops. Today we're going to be taking a look at Silencer Essentials Banish 30 suppressor. But before we get into details on this suppressor, I want to kind of fill you guys in a little bit more about kind of what we do, our background, and some of our experience with suppressors. I've had my FFL and SOT for over a decade, and from the very beginning, my goal was to get my hands on as many different makes, models, and manufacturer suppressors that I possibly could in the field to hunt, to shoot, to film, and to kill with, so that we could pass on that information to you guys. I kind of saw how things were going to go. It's the same thing with high-end optics, high-end rifles, firearms, etc. A lot of guys were going to invest their money in one product, and then that was going to be the best. Just ask them. You know, my goal was to not be that guy, not be the Kool-Aid drinker, not be the fanboy for one specific manufacturer. I wanted to give as much experience as I could based on our field time use with different products. The same pertains to optics, barrels, stocks, actions, rifle manufacturers, etc. So with that said, guys, I don't like to do unboxings unless we have extensive experience with that product in the field, which is why when Silencer Essential got a hold of me, I said, absolutely, we could do a review, get it out a few months in advance. We'll get some trigger time with it. We'll get a few kills with it, and we'll go from there. We'll throw out a legit review based on our experience with it in the field. And me being an FFL and SOT, Form 3s only take a matter of days, so I got the suppressor in my hand relatively early. We got a lot of use with it. And what I did is they sent us 2 cans. I mounted one. We zeroed it. I'll show you some groups. The suppression is awesome. The groups held tight with the rifle, and we hammered with one suppressor. The other can I left unfired so that we could break it apart easily, and I'll kind of demonstrate that as this review follows up. So we have the Banish 30, and what you get right out of the box is a Torx 45 wrench. This is for disassembly and it's for assembly, and we'll go into detail on that as things progress. The configuration of the can is 9 inches as it comes from Silencer Essential. You'll also get the tool for the breakdown for the disassembly for the end cap. It's basically a machined key that sits in the end cap, and you use it like a wrench in conjunction with the Torx 45 Allen wrench. And then it also comes with a extra O-ring in case one of yours gets lost or it breaks. And I'll kind of show you guys about the O-rings also as we kind of break this suppressor down. So we have the suppressor, and this can comes in 2 different configurations. It's a modular suppressor. You can take the end cap off and run it as a 7-inch can that's gonna run about 10.2 ounces, or you can leave it at a 9-inch can. It's gonna be about 13 ounces. A little bit more about that kind of situation. There's a compromise there. I like to run the most quiet suppressor possible, and with that said, the more internal volume that a suppressor has, general rule of thumb, is the quieter it's going to be. It gives those gases a lot more room to do what they do, cool them and be more effective in the end, be better at sound suppression. When you shorten a can up, it naturally just gets louder. That's what's going to happen. So there's a compromise there. I don't necessarily like to run long suppressors, but there's a time and place to run a short can, and that's a really nice feature that this Banish 30 has, being able to accommodate that. You might not think a couple inches is that much, taking her down from a 9 to a 7, but it really is, especially with what we do, running stock packs, taking the rifles in and out all the time. Maybe you're going into close quarters where you have tight areas. A couple every inch counts. So there's a compromise. You can sacrifice a little bit of sound suppression for a little bit more of a compact system, or you can have a little bit less of a compact system for a little bit more sound suppression. And we'll make sure and take this down for you guys and show you how to break her down to a 7-inch. But another thing too that is really beneficial about being able to break this suppressor down is to be able to clean it. And a lot of guys that shoot rimfire ammo, subsonic ammo, that's dirty. That stuff, it needs to be cleaned, and it builds up a lot of carbon, a lot of powder residue relatively quickly. So being able to break this down, take the baffles out, it's a really nice option, especially if you're going to be running those kind of rounds through it. Cleaning it, that's at your discretion. Some guys use solvent, some guys use like a tumbling media. I've heard of both. You know, I would stay away from scratching the baffles too much. That's just going to be more void for the carbon to fill and a little bit tougher to get apart when you need to do it. But maybe we'll do a video review on cleaning suppressors later on down the road. As for now, we'll break this down and show you guys the 7-inch configuration, the internals of the baffles and everything from here on out. So we've got the end cap, the end portion removed. Inside of this end portion is 2 baffles, and I'll pull them out. This whole suppressor comes with 8 baffles. There's 6 baffles inside of the 7-inch portion, and there's 2 baffles inside of this 2-inch portion here. So once we have the end cap removed, or the end portion of the suppressor removed, next is to remove the end cap. So you've got your Torx 45. It fits right into the key, into the tool, and that's right on your end cap. Thread it right off, take it off. Pretty simple situation. Since this is a brand new suppressor, it's not too hard to break down. Get her loose, take the end cap off. Same kind of O-ring. And there you've got your 30 cal end cap. And then here's the 2 baffles on the end portion. And we're gonna pay special attention to those baffles here because we're gonna compare them to the 6 that are inside the longer portion. And we'll break all this down and show you guys and tell you guys exactly what's going on here. But here's the 6 that are in the 7-inch portion, and you can tell a noticeable difference between the 6 and the 2, so you can't really mess them up. There's 2 distinct features. Both of these end caps do not have keyholes machined into them, and they're not slotted. They're not slotted to fit together. They just go together, no keyholes. Now you look at these other 6 that go in the 7-inch portion. They have a keyhole machined into the side, and they also slotted. You can hear this. Hear that snap? It doesn't lock together, but it keeps them in place when you put them in. They only go together one way. So it's nothing to get worked up about. You put them together relatively simple. They all line up, and I'll get a good picture here for you from the side angle. You can see how, I'll hold this still here, you can see how all of those slots line up. Kind of pull it apart a little bit there. So they can really only go together one way. And then this piece here, this is a blast chamber. It is also slotted so that the baffles will fit on it as well. It's a pretty simple deal. And another side note here real quick, the blast chamber, more than likely when you start shooting, it's gonna get carboned up, and it's gonna basically seal itself into the lower portion of the suppressor. You won't be able to remove it. We're gonna get into some detail here on how to press the baffles out once they get a lot of carbon and powder fouling on them. But this piece here is gonna get stuck inside your suppressor, and when you try to break it down and take it apart, the only thing that you really need to be concerned about is getting the baffles out. This is gonna stay put. So you can get these together. They're all in the right They're all right in the same exact spot where they're supposed to be. All the slots are right. You just want to make sure that when you put them back in, you can kind of, since this is a new can, I'm turning them, and just to make sure that all of the slots are lined up, and they are. I don't hear anything click. I can look down and I can see all the baffles are lined up how they're supposed to be. And let's configure this to 7 inches. Thread the end cap on. Once you get it down to a certain point, you want to use your provided tool. Thread it in, and we're at 7 inches. Another thing that we'll take a note of real quick here, that red O-ring. If you put something together wrong, if for some reason one of these baffles or the blast chamber does not line up inside here, when you go to thread your end cap on, or if you're configuring it in the 9-inch, you'll be able to see a visible red O-ring. That red O-ring will be visible. And I should demonstrate it for you real quick here. I will, just so you can kind of see. So this is what it's like when it's right, when it's done put together right. The end cap sinks down in, fits in how it should. Almost flush with the top portion, nothing's loose. Now we'll take it apart real quick. And I'll just spin one of those baffles so that the slots don't line up, and we'll go from there, and I'll kind of show you guys what I'm talking about. That one's not lined up. That one's not lined up. Okay. You'll see just how much that minute misplacing will make that red O-ring show, and that's just kind of a safety feature. Just pay attention how you put it back together, like everything, reloading, etc. You can see just a little bit of that red O-ring, and the DSLR might not get it from the angle, but I can see it plain as day right here. If you just look at it at a certain angle, you look around, that O-ring is 100% visible. What I'll do here, and I'll show you guys from this, I'll show you guys also, that was from the 7-inch. I'm not gonna mess with these baffles. We'll just thread this on. It'll be a little bit easier because I don't have to use that wrench. But yeah, you can see like how much that orange O-ring is visible. I mean, that's snug, that's snug. And then I'll break it back and put the baffles in the right way, and that'll disappear. So that's just kind of a little side note that you guys, just the FYI, pay attention to it. It's something that you should do anyway when you're doing this. You want to make sure that you don't have a baffle strike, compromise the warranty because of a mistake on your end. Okay, got them lined up. Get them concentric here. Drop them in place. And let's go ahead and configure this back to 9 inches like it comes from Silencer Central if you purchase it. And that, you cannot see that O-ring at all. These two baffles can only go in one way. You can't mess them up. There's no slots, no keyholes that you have to worry about lining up. So those should go in relatively easy. When you thread the end cap down, that O-ring should disappear, and you should be 100% good to go. Another thing that is really nice about the suppressor, what Silencer Central offers with this can, is just kind of this is basic information for you guys that already know what I'm talking about, but for those of you that don't, the general rule of thumb for suppressors is anything that is 224 and under half by 28 threads per inch. Anything that's 224 and over, such as 6 millimeter, 6.5, 7 millimeter, 30 cal on up, 5/8 by 24. That's your threads per inch for the end of your muzzle to be threaded at to fit the suppressor. Half by 28 for your standard 224, 223s, ARs, etc. 5/8 by 24. Anything bigger than that, unless you get into pistol, handgun calibers, then even 9 millimeter carbines, you're getting into like half by 36. There's a lot of different thread pitches that come on these, but the standard rule of thumb for standard center fire suppressors, half by 28 and 5/8 by 24. So what they offer is this can comes as a 30 caliber can, which obviously 5/8 by 24 threaded, but it has an adapter that we'll pull off here real quick of the rifle, and it is threaded half by 28. All it is, it's an adapter that necks 5/8 by 24 up to half by 28. And if it gets stuck, no big deal. I mean, it's a 3/4 inch size. Break it free with a 3/4 inch wrench, and it's a simple little adapter that they offer with it. And this allows you, a lot of guys are, well, why the hell do you need that? It's so you can run this suppressor on your 22 long rifle, your AR-15, your 22 250 bolt gun, your 223 bolt gun, and then you can transition to anything bigger than that. That's 5/8 by 24. Anything 30 cal Magnum and under, this can will run on. 300 Ultra Mag, 7 millimeter Remington Mag, 6.5 PRC, 260, 6 millimeter Creed, 243, all the calibers. So it's a nice setup how they can configure this to run and offer it as an option for this can, so you can run it on all the different calibers that you want. The recommendation of the manufacturer says to clean this can every 100 rounds. So make sure and take note on that. A lot of suppressors, depending on what you're putting through it, get awful dirty, awful quick, and become hard to break down. Most of the suppressors that I run are not serviceable by the end user. You can send them into the manufacturer, but the nice feature about these is you can service it yourself. But if it does get pretty cumbersome, if it gets carbon buildup, it gets caked in there, you might not get around to cleaning it every 100 rounds and everything's stuck pretty tight. They do make a tool. It's a silencer baffle removal tool. And basically all it is it's a manual press is what it is. You thread it in to the end portion of the suppressor, and then the end of the tool has a wrench head machined onto it, and you just thread it on and it continues pushing the baffles right out the end. If you have to, you could, you'd want to make sure and do it the right way. Don't take my word for it to go do it yourself. But if you have a good vise, something that's got jaws that will not crush or they will not mar up this, you can hold it with something and thread that tool and be a lot easier to push them out. You might even take an impact wrench on the end of that and just brrr. Just joking on that. I'm not going to put that on there. But basically it's a tool, manual press, threads into the end here, and then it's got a machined nut on the end, and you just thread it in and it just continuously presses those baffles out. It's a pretty simple deal if for some reason they get stuck and you're concerned that you need to get them out. Another thing that we're going to go over here real quick, guys, is some of the accessories that Silencer Central offers with the Banish suppressor. A suppressor pouch. This is a snow camo multi-cam Alpine design. It's got a MOLLE back panel. We've got a pickup that's got MOLLE webbing on the back of the seat covers so that you can MOLLE whatever you want. And it's a pretty slick option here, guys. I mean, if you do want to, for some reason, take your suppressor in the field, you want to break it down. Say you want to change a configuration from 9 to 7. You take the end portion off, configure your can to 7, throw the end portion in here. You still got it secured. You know where it is. You won't lose it. A lot of guys are pretty particular about their cans also. They might not want to scar it up. They may not want to mar the sidewalls, so they want to keep it in the pouch until they actually use it. All of our suppressors are are beat to piss within the first week. Our end caps are all marred up from going in and out of our packs 100 times. So it doesn't really matter to us, but these are nice options to have. And I've got a few of them myself. The other pieces of equipment here are suppressor covers. We've got tan, we've got black, we got a snow camo pattern. We run a lot of suppressor covers. We call them mirage covers on all of our cans, whether it's for the actual purpose of being a mirage cover, which we'll talk about here, but these suppressor covers have a rubber, sure grip, non-slip back panel, and it's a self-explanatory method. I mean, you just Velcro them on through the loop and it doesn't slip. I mean, it's stuck on there solid. There's a couple different purposes for these guys. Like I was saying earlier, you can actually use them for a mirage cover. It's a titanium can. They are significantly lighter than stainless steel suppressors. They're thinner, they're lighter, they're stronger, but you also have to take into consideration that titanium also heats up faster too. So you're running a titanium can within 3, 4, 10 rounds, it heats up. You start getting a mirage. If you don't have a little bit of a crosswind to blow that mirage off, it gets tedious. I mean, it's kind of tough to get a good visual at any distance when you start to get that mirage on these suppressors. So these actually do aid in diminishing, or kind of, I don't want to say diminish, but suppressing that mirage to a certain extent. But once these heat up, you also still get the mirage. I mean, your best bet when these start to heat up and you still get the mirage is to let everything cool down. The other option for these, or a couple options, is, once again, for the guys that like to keep their stuff nice, maybe they don't want to scratch it, you put it on, it's a protective cover for it. And another thing too is, once again, you take it to the range, maybe you're out hunting, you accidentally do a mag dump or something, it gets hot, too hot to touch, you have these on, you can actually handle the can if you need to take it off or you want to take it off to cool it. So there's a couple different functions and parts that these mirage covers actually play. So they're a nice feature, they're really nice. We run them on all of our cans regardless, whether it's for the stealth factor, the coolness factor, but there's a functionality for them. We like to use them because they're functional. They suppress the mirage when we're getting trigger time, when we're shooting groups, and they also, like I said, they break up the outline. A black can, tan cover, it helps break it up when you're in the field hunting and shooting. I hope you guys have enjoyed our review of Silencer Essentials Banish 30 Suppressor. I hope you guys find our work informative as well as entertaining. We just surpassed 50,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel, and to me, guys, that's honestly humbling that you guys are interested in our work and actually take us along while you're doing what you do and pay attention to us. We've got a lot of cool things coming. We're going to be doing a lot more reviews on products such as this that we use in the field, that we actually prefer to use, optics, rifle systems, thermal, night vision configurations, gear, equipment, and of course a lot more suppressor reviews are going to be in the work. We also have a podcast up. You can see it on the YouTube channel. I've created a separate playlist specifically for that, where we get into detail on basically everything that we do. We like to break things down here. That's what we do. We like to go into detail about the equipment that we like to use for our specific application. It's fun, it works for us, and we really enjoy informing you guys, or entertaining you guys for that matter. But I hope you guys are enjoying what we do. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, spread the word, check us out on Instagram, check us out on Facebook. Our podcast is available on the Anchor platform. It's also available on iTunes and Spotify. If you search O'Neill Ops or Predator Hunter, you'll find it. Once again, guys, I'm James O'Neill, and this has been an O'Neill Ops review of Silencer Essentials Banish 30 Suppressor from the loadout room with the equipment that is designed for the field. O'Neill Ops, we're out.